Welcome to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Galveston District Civil Works Program. Our district's program includes navigation, flood risk management, coastal storm risk management, regulatory, ecosystem restoration, emergency management, interagency and international support, and recreation. Have you ever wondered how projects are executed? Do you feel overwhelmed by all our government policies? These series of videos will help you navigate through our Civil Works program and understand your role in this meaningful journey. There are over 5 arching phases in the Civil Works program: study initiation, feasibility study, pre-construction engineering and design, construction and operations, and maintenance. Since Congress establishes the authority for USACE to conduct any work and provides federal appropriations to initiate any study or project, it can take several years to execute. A key mechanism for Congress to authorize Corps projects is through the Water Resource Development Act. Before any work can begin, a non-federal entity has to approach USACE with a problem they are trying to solve. Once a problem has been identified, the entity will submit a letter of intent identifying themselves as the sponsor. The information will then be turned over to Congress to grant USACE an authority to study the issue further. Once the study has been authorized, Congress will appropriate funds for USACE to work on the study.
Hello, my name is Rocky Sullivan. I'm part of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Galveston District. I'm a construction control representative. I'm here with Deputy District Engineer for the Galveston District, Mr. Byron Williams.
Thanks for having me, Rocky. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about our district and the Corps of Engineers in general.
As someone who regularly engages with non-federal sponsors, can you speak to the significance of the non-federal sponsors' role in the civil works process and the interactions between the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the non-federal sponsors?
Our non-federal sponsors are partners. They are 50-50 with us in everything we do. If they don't have an interest, we don't have an interest. In fact, they advocate for their projects on the Hill. They advocate with their local politicians, their local county administrators, the people that actually live in their communities. They advocate for their projects through us. We work with them to come up with an engineering solution to whatever problem that they're having. Without the non-federal sponsors, we wouldn't have a project. Most projects that we actually work on, the non-federal sponsor is the one who initiates the actual work of the project. They come to us and they say, we have a problem. We figure out the best way to attack that problem, and we work as a team moving forward. And not only that, outside of working with us, they provide funds. In some cases, it's 50-50, some cases it's 65, 35, 75, 25. Some cases it's 100% federal. It just depends on whatever authorization that we're able to use. But we can't do projects without the non-federal sponsors.
Once the Galveston District has determined that the identified problem falls within the Corps' main mission areas and is beyond the capabilities of the local community to solve on their own due to limitations such as jurisdictional boundaries, financial resources, or technical expertise, then USACE can step in to provide assistance and solutions.
And I'm interested in understanding how you determine which potential projects brought to the Corps warrant further study versus those that may not align as well with the mission or lack clear benefits.
We do what we call a federal interest determination, in which we determine is there a federal interest in working on this project. And in the past, it's always been benefit to cost ratio. But with recent changes in the current administration, we're also looking at EJ, which is environmental justice, and social justice as well. So we're looking at other metrics to determine if a project is worthy of federal participation. In some cases, some authorities give us the ability to assist a non-federal sponsor 100% federal dollars for a social justice case or an environmental justice case, not necessarily just benefit to cost ratio, which is good. It allows us to expand our palette and help those in need in our local area more so than we've ever done in the past.
So how do we get the community involved and invested in a potential project?
We don't really market per se, but we are doing a better job of letting the local township know what we do. One thing that I've always had an issue with is, I walk outside in Galveston and someone would ask, where do you work? And I will say the Corps of Engineers. And the next answer would be, well, what do they do? Where are they? What are they for? What's the purpose of the Corps of Engineers? So we have to do a better job of getting our message out on what we're able to do to assist our local sponsors. They don't know. We have pamphlets, we have brochures, we have websites, but if you don't know where to look, it doesn't matter what we have. So we also have like what we call we have a website on our headquarters. I don't want to like talk about numbers per se, specific regs and so forth, but basically you can go to our headquarters website and you can look to see where you can apply for assistance with the Corps of Engineers. And if it's a major project, it can get placed into our WRDA bill, in which we can get full federal funding to assist in starting a feasibility study. However, we're able to meet with local sponsors at any time. If they want to meet with us, we can come visit you, you can come to our district, and we sit down and we assess what your particular problem is, and then we try to determine the best authority to attack your problem. It could be planning assistance to states, which provides technical assistance. It can be a full GI study. It can be a CAP study, which is a smaller scale GI study. It allows you to get to construction a lot faster, but it also has a dollar cap threshold on it as well. But if it fits in what the non-federal sponsor is trying to do, then that's the route that we take. In addition to that, when we have current projects, we do what we call public meetings and public workshops, where we invite the public to come in and view the projects. We have project managers stationed at certain points throughout the room where they can come, they can ask questions and ask, specifically, how does this project benefit my community, or how does it affect me where I live? So getting public involvement is number one, and it's a requirement for every project that we do. We invite you in, we give you a 30-day, 45-day, sometimes 60-day window to comment on our reports, on our studies. We'll send it out, we'll place it in libraries, we'll place it on websites, so you can go and you can look at the projects, and or you can come to a public meeting and talk directly with us and show us your interest and or any issues that you may have or concerns. You can write your comments on a card if you're not able to speak with us, and we look at those cards and we include all comments and our responses in our appendices for our studies.
Most civil works projects, from planning through construction, are cost shared between the federal government and the non-federal partner. The amount of federal assistance to execute projects can vary by the size of the project. Non-federal sponsors engage the Corps of Engineers to discuss available programs for their problem. Small projects can be funded through the programs such as the Continuing Authorities Program, while larger projects require congressional authorization for a two-phase study. If needed, non-federal sponsors may request study authorization from Congress to allow the Corps to start the study process. Once authorized, officials work to secure congressional appropriations to fund the study.
Could you outline the main authority programs the Corps utilize to work with non-federal sponsors on civil projects, and what are the key differences sponsors should be aware of between these programs?
I don't really want to say main authority. I don't want to put one authority's value above another. We have many authorities. We have CAP authorities, again, which I mentioned earlier. Smaller authorities that allow us to work with smaller dollar thresholds, but it allows us to actually execute construction faster. And if, again, a project fits under one of those authorities, that's the route that we take. We have planning assistance to states. We have FPMS. We have major GI studies in which, again, they're 3-year studies, 3 years, $3 million to start. We can get exemptions to go longer or cost more money if necessary. Those studies are basically entered into our headquarters website. It gets placed into a WRDA bill for approval. And once it gets approved, if it's in the president's budget for us to have a new start on a new GI study, then we act accordingly. We sign what we call a feasibility cost sharing agreement with the non-federal sponsor, and they share with us on that project 50-50. As of late, we've had several supplemental bills where cost and authority has been changed a little bit. Post-Harvey, we had what we call the Bipartisan Budget Act of 2018, in which they supplied us funding to work on some CSRM and FRM projects as well. They provided that funding at 100% federal cost, but there were some caveats to whereas the non-federal sponsors still had 30 years to reimburse their cost share. So though it was upfront 100% federal, we didn't remove and or alleviate the cost share responsibility of the non-federal sponsor.
At what point in initial discussions do you help sponsors understand which program applies to their particular project?
When a non-federal sponsor approaches us with a problem for us to solve and or work with them, we sit down with them. We have full transparency from the jump. We sit down with them to discuss our programs, our authorities, where we can and can't assist them. And it depends on the type of project. It can be navigation, it can be ecosystem restoration, it can be FRM. Sometimes they can be in a situation where social justice and environmental justice comes into play. They may not have the finances to assist as well as they would like. So again, we sit down with them and we give them what we can and we can't do up front, and they work with us. We pick the best authority to tackle their problem, and we move forward from that point on.
Congress provides study authority to the Corps to evaluate project feasibility for specific water resource problems, either through existing authorities, committee resolutions, water resource development acts, or other legislation. This authorization allows the Corps to undertake a study to identify solutions, known as the feasibility study, for water resource issues brought forth by local sponsors. If a proposed project does not fall under one of the Corps' existing authorities, the process involves a recommendation to Congress conveyed through a study initiation report. The study initiation report is the final step in this phase for potential new civil works projects before starting the feasibility study. It documents the initial information about a proposed problem or project and serves as the basis for requesting funding to start a detailed feasibility study. It involves multiple disciplines to scope the potential project, identify information gaps to address in the feasibility study, and make the case for federal interest based on core mission areas. The report typically takes 6 to 12 months to complete after the sponsor's request, requiring time for data gathering, scoping, coordination, and documentation. So that is the first phase of the executing of a project in the Civil Works program. This phase helps the Galveston District get new projects in the door to our team members like you to dig into problems and solve them to provide economic, environmental, or safety benefit to the community. The next video will explore the feasibility phase. Get ready to embark on an enlightening journey into the USACE Galveston District's Civil Works program.